All right, everybody, this is hashtag homeless, day 14. And I may not be homeless, for a lot longer. Yesterday's video was a little bit crazy, especially with the background noise, and, there's going to be plenty of that today as usual. I don't have a lot of time to talk to all of you, but did have quite an eventful day today. As has been every day for the last 14 days. I'm just on my way back from a job interview, on my way to the library. I have to fill out some more paperwork and do some more things. And I decided to skip dinner tonight at the homeless shelter because I just want to stay at the library and get some things done. And as soon as I go back to that shelter, it's going to be chaos and I won't be able to get anything done. So I got EBT. Yeah, you know me. Down with EBT. Yeah, you know me. And that's right. I went down and got myself a really good deli sub roast beef. Thanks to all of y'all. So thank you for that, everybody. You didn't even have to donate to the channel, and I still got your money. Let's see. So aside from that, I'm not going to be hungry, so I'm not going to need to worry about being back in time for dinner at the shelter tonight. So I prayed about it yesterday, about all the things swirling in my head about this job offer, this pseudo offer that came at me yesterday. It had bad vibes all over it. And that's why I was jumping around all over the place, just mentally struggling, because I'm just looking for an answer to the problem. And when the answer comes, it's not really the answer. And so that's why I had to pray about it. And I knew I still had one more job interview. So I prayed about it all night yesterday. God, make it so obvious. Make the solution so obvious, or make the right choice so obvious that I have no other option but to do what you want me to do. And so today I got up, spent some time at the library, walked over to where the job interview was going to be, and had about an hour to kill some time. Started talking to my best friend. And I was telling my best friend, I said, I really don't want to take this factory job. I don't want to take this. There's 10 different reasons why. We got into the reasons. And I said, look, this interview I'm going on right now is like my Hail Mary pass. There's 4 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and I either need to throw a touchdown or I at least need to score a field goal so that I can go into overtime and try to win the game in overtime. And I walked over to the interview, walked into the building, and I as soon as I walked into the store, I was looking around and I said, yeah, this would be great if they would hire me to work here. Different reasons, and I'll get into the reasons. Another very awkward interview. Why is this guy, this professional guy, trying to get a job at this big box store? And I just had to tell the story again. And once again, nobody seemed to care. Political, I said, look, I'm not really a Democrat or a Republican. I made a mistake. They're like, we don't even care if that's what you did. Social media, what? You went to same shit, the same things everybody says when they find out what I went to prison for. You went to prison for a social media post? They're doing what now? That's the reaction I get every single time. And look, I'm not proud of what I did. I don't believe what I did was anything but wrong. Whether I went to prison or not, whether the FBI got involved or not. Before the FBI came to my house, I was already feeling stupid and feeling like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and not only get rid of these posts, but delete the account altogether because this is just a politically charged website. And I got wrapped up into being one of many people saying the same exact things. And it just, I felt like I was preaching to the choir. I felt like I was just parroting things that, in my own words, that 50,000 other people had said the same day. The FBI zeroed in on me, brought a tank to my house, smashed my house all to hell, took me to prison in handcuffs, et cetera, et cetera. There's much more to the story that's for another video. I am going to tell it, my side of it. But I'm ashamed of it. I think it's wrong. It should have never been done. These things should have never been said on the internet, etc. And it's horrible. I feel so horrible talking because I was always a guy who got along with everybody. And then 2020 came along. And this whole Donald Trump and this whole polarization where everybody hates everybody now and everybody's either walking around with a red hat on their head or a mask on their mouth. And I'm here in the middle going, oh my goodness, I got to get away from all this. I already moved out to Amish country to get away from the nonsense going on in the city. And now where do I go? The desert? Or do I go to how far do I got to go before I can finally just, be safe from all this? I shut down. I lost I stopped talking to a lot of people. I stopped getting along with a lot of people stopped getting along with me. And it was just a bad time for all of us. And we're still going through it. Don't think that this is over. But every time I have to have this awkward conversation about what happened, it's so embarrassing. It's so hard to talk about. But at the same time, here I'm coming home from prison thinking everybody's going to hate me because of what happened and what I did. And it turns out people are angry at the government for what the government did to me, way more than they have anything to say about me. I have had a few people, read into what I said and said, wow, that was pretty stupid, but you didn't deserve what they did to you. The government used you as a political, you were a political prisoner used to make an example because, this Biden administration doesn't want anybody speaking out against them. And they found this guy who said some pretty vile things, and they're like, oh, we're going after him. We'll use him to show everybody what can and can't be said on the internet. Now, I'm not saying go out and say the kinds of things that I said because they were bad. But, that's not the subject of today's video, and I'm already so far in. I gotta get back to the track here. And so that awkward conversation took place, and they gave me the job on the spot. And they said if it comes up in the background check, it has nothing to do with retail theft or anything pertaining to the job, so we shouldn't have a problem getting past that either. Can you start on Tuesday? Here's a couple of shirts. And so the reason I said yes right away was because when sometimes you ever have a feeling, like your gut feeling, especially if you believe in God, that this is the right answer and maybe the other one's the wrong answer. So this other job opportunity, the one that was driving me nuts with indecision and the one that I really didn't want to say yes to, it would have been full-time hours, but it would have been making less than minimum wage here in New York, because it would have been on the other side of the state line in Pennsylvania. There would have been all kinds of hassles with my probation officer having to cross state lines to go to a job. I already talked to him today about it after I had already made this decision, and just from the vibe I got from him, it would have been a problem, and I'm kind of glad that the right answer, the gut feeling I had when I made this decision told me that it was the right answer, and that gut feeling was not me. That was the Holy Ghost inside me nudging me saying, yeah, this is the one, this is the one, this is what you want to do. So, like I said, I walked into the store. The store, the vibe, the tranquility, there's certain words I want to use, but I don't want to use for different reasons. All I'm saying is the vibe was there. It was just the right vibe. Everybody that I met with was really good. It seems like a really cool group of people that get along well with each other. That's extremely important. The manager of the store was really friendly. He was really easy to get along with. Once he found out I was from Pittsburgh, he told me he managed a store down in Pittsburgh and he lived there for a long time. So we started talking about Pittsburgh and we had a little bit of camaraderie going there. Some of the other things, the pay was better per hour, but the number of hours was not as good. So money-wise, I'm actually going to be worse off by taking this option. I'm not going to make as much money doing this as I would working at this factory. Off the bat, I'm only going to get about 15 hours my first week. I don't know about the second week. It goes up from there. I would get at least 30 hours a week, no more than 40. The hours of operation and the hours, the latest I would ever have to work and the earliest I would have to be there are compatible with what I need to be to keep my sanity right now. That turned out to be a really good situation compared to the factory where I might, who knows, I might be working some overnights or just oddball hours that, plus the 3 hours of traveling every day to get to and from that job. This was the better option still. The only downside is I'll be bringing home a little bit less money every week, at least up front. Maybe not down the road, and I'll get to that in a second. But it just had the right feel. It had the right vibe to... I had no hesitation. I said, yeah, I'll take it. Let's do it. See you on Tuesday. I got to go to the library right now and fill out some forms and get some paperwork done so that, we're good to go and so that I meet my obligation. Well, he told me I didn't have to have it done till I come in on Tuesday. I said, you'll have it in your hands before you go home tonight. And I'm going to keep my word on that. And I assume it's only going to take me an hour. And so there you go. I made my choice. I don't know where this is going to go, but I can tell you I've been in the same situation professionally more times than I can count, where I'm presented with 2 job opportunities at the same time. And I can tell you one example to say, we're at 13 and a half minutes. I'll tell you one of these stories real quick, and then I'll call it a day. I had lost my job in Pittsburgh, and it was a good market. I wasn't even unemployed for 3 weeks. I had gone on 2 interviews that resulted in job offers. And one of these offers came through a staffing agency, a headhunter / temp agency. And the money was pretty good. It was better than the job I just got let go from. It was at the biggest, most prestigious ad agency in Pittsburgh, in the fanciest glass tower in the city. And it was doing, basically it was bottom of the ladder, advertising work, production art. It was actually a couple of steps back from what I'd been doing for a couple of years, but I was still in my this was in the first few years of my career. And this is a great story to tell because at the same time, I had another interview it was a computer training company, and he wanted somebody to come in and help him do his marketing. And he was offering me less money I think it was less money than I was just making at my previous job. But the guy, he seemed really cool. And so, and it just, the atmosphere, but it was like, I don't know, like a computer training company. They cater to, creative people and advertising world people, marketing professionals, that kind of thing. But I'm like, I don't know, man. This guy, he's not paying me. I got the biggest ad agency in town offering me more money than I was making to come work with them, but start at the bottom of the ladder as a temp, and it's going to take at least 6 months to a year to become an actual employee. And there's also the risk that in 3 months I could be thrown out the door. This guy is essentially offering me my own little office in his office space, and he's but he's not paying me as much, but he seems like a really cool guy, and everybody I met at this company so far seems really cool. So I'm gonna go with the lesser paying job that feels, it just had a better vibe to it. And a few people thought I was nuts, especially when they knew that I turned down a job at the biggest ad agency in town. So my first week on this new job, the only thing that he wanted me to do was sit in the classes. So Adobe Dreamweaver classes, Adobe Flash classes, Macromedia at the time, it was bought by Adobe. A few other classes. I don't know if I took any Photoshop classes and Illustrator and that stuff because I was already an expert in that stuff. But he had me take classes in things that I really didn't have a lot of experience with. Flash I had never used before. Dreamweaver I don't believe I had ever used before. And he had me take some HTML classes and JavaScript classes and stuff like that they taught. And I thought that was pretty awesome to get paid to go to school for a week or two. And so I started working on a new website for them. And Flash, I picked up Flash right away. Became really good at Flash. And all I'm gonna say is that I can fast forward and say this company turned out to be one of the best companies I ever worked for in my career. It was the hands down most fun group of people I ever worked with in my life. Money wise, I would say within the first year, I was making more than I was at my previous job, and it kept going up and up from there. I won awards, national awards, for some of the work that I did for this company. Because of the national awards that I picked up for the marketing work that I was doing for his company, we started picking up more clients, and we spun off a whole design studio business from that work. And that company, that spin-off company, still exists today, and that's run by a few friends of mine. That's a whole long story of how that came to be and why I'm not part of it, and that's okay. That just wasn't, my direction was this way, their direction was that way, and that's fine. But they could all go back to, they could all credit the fact the three people that own that company to this day could credit the fact that I took classes from this guy, that I made the decision to take this guy's job offer over the other job offer, and that was the catalyst that led to all this stuff. And I'm telling you though, the Flash classes, that led to my expert level of knowledge, and all the stuff that I do today in the internet and all the software design came from that job. And the owner of that company no longer exists, but the owner of that company is still a good friend of mine. In fact, when I got out of prison, he was one of the first people that reached out to me to see how I was doing, and to say he heard about what happened and that he felt really bad and that he wanted to come to court to testify on my behalf, and he was trying to figure out who my lawyer was and all this and that so that he could, stand up for me and tell them that I'm a good guy and I'm not this monster that, CNN wants to make me out to be. And all of that stuff. And it was amazing to hear. I mean, I just talked to him a few weeks ago, and we're buddies on LinkedIn. He has his own podcast now, and he's rocking his own thing. And he's, he's got some spatula business that he's selling. Maybe Weird Al Yankovic's Spatula City will pick up his line. I'm not sure if that store still exists, but maybe you want to look into that, Chris. But anyway, just these kind of decisions, you make a small decision like that thinking you're just rolling the dice. You're like, you know what? I just had a better feeling about this one. I'm not going to walk away with as much money as I would for this other one, but this other one was giving me knots in my stomach. It just didn't feel right. This one today felt right. I'm going to have the freedom and the space that I need to continue searching for that real job, that lucrative software job that pays mega bucks. And I'm going to have enough money coming in my pocket to try and get a roof over my head. And I'm going to satisfy all the people that are requiring me to have a job right now. And it's all going to work out. God's going to work it out. It just felt like the right thing to do. And if it comes time that there's a second job interview at the company I interviewed with yesterday, this job that I said yes to today is the kind of job where I'm going to have 1 or 2 days a week where I can schedule an interview easily and easily have the time to prepare for it and prepare for it properly without having to scramble, without having to have knots in my stomach, and without having to worry about whether I'm going to get fired from my job tomorrow because I went on a job interview today that they don't even know about. I just had to call in sick. So, made my choice, and I'm sticking to it. And, that phone could ring over the weekend with a different opportunity that's better than this, but I don't expect that. And to tell you the truth, now that this is set in stone more or less, I'm really going to relax the amount of effort I'm putting in sending out resumes to local jobs, local restaurants, local labor jobs. I'm going to chill on that for a minute and see what happens with this and go from there. I had a good feelings, good vibes, and I'm just going to roll with it. And so, but that story I just shared with you, that one decision to, if I had gone to work at that illustrious ad agency that no longer exists, they went out of business. But if I had made the decision to go work there, I wouldn't have picked up any new skills. Who knows where my career would have stagnated. But by making that other choice, I picked up a whole host of skills that turned into a whole new career path and literally led me to the career path where I was before I got arrested. Everything, that decision led to where I was. That was a key life decision, very important life decision that I wouldn't have got where I was going if it wasn't for that move. I credit that move, that company, that guy, for a lot of the success that I had after I left that company. And I always will. And so grateful that opportunity fell into my lap when it did. Way back when that was like 1999 when that happened. And it's paid dividends so many times over. So many things have branched off of that branch of the tree where I zigged instead of zagged, and it's crazy. There are maybe 10 choices I've made in my life where the consequences were so drastic and life-changing moving forward that you couldn't even imagine what things would be like had you not made that choice. And, making the decision to do what I did to go to federal prison for 20 months was certainly one of them. But making the decision to take lesser money to go work with this guy who was offering me a job that I didn't even know what I was getting myself into when I said yes to it, and hoping that the bills and all that stuff would work out. And it led to a way better place than the other path would have led in that situation. So this is something to think about when you face that same kind of choice. Don't be afraid to take the one that pays less money, or that there's something about it that's just that other people are going to question your decision and say, why did you do that instead of taking more money? Because it really isn't all about the money every time. And with that, I'm just going to say peace out till tomorrow.